Yeah, welcome and thank you so much for being with me today. Through I was really happy to have you as like a colleague, composer, and friend for a long time since we met in New York City, right?
You were in New York City 2000, right?
Right, yeah, it's been a while, but I since then, you know, your career and musical journey were like flourished. I'm so excited to hear more about your life today.
It did. But thank you for your invitation. I'm very excited.
Thank you too. Would you mind? Could you introduce yourself for just short introduction?
Sure. My name is Ana Paola Santillán Alcocer. They usually call me Paola. And I was born in Mexico City, so I'm Mexican. And I've been in touch with music since I was a little kid. I was always very attracted to music, but obviously from a different perspective that I'm writing music right now and the that I was listening to. I was raised in a very, very happy family, very unusual, unusual way because I was raised with my mom and with my grandparents, and their grandparents had 5 children. So when my mom got separated, we went back to my grandparents' house. So we grew up there and we were raised by all the families. So it was interesting. And it was quite fun because they had four, I mean, besides my mom, there were there's 4 other people there at home. And everybody got like their own very, very intense personality. So I get to enjoy each of my uncle's personality, and I grew up with this really nice atmosphere, very musical atmosphere, also. And well, I was quite happy, so it was only different.
Right. Yeah, that's very special.
Yeah.
Wow. So now become a composer and active musical educator. Wow, that's so inspiring. So my first question is, I mean, I think it's along with your just your introduction. Could you tell me more about your earliest memories of being drawn to sound or music? What was that moment like for you in Mexico?
Yeah, if you're talking about when I was a child,
Yeah.
well, probably was that by
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
earliest moment, with the music or sound, good memory.
Even when I was a child, I was very drawn to music, but it was obviously popular music, and I used to love singing.
Mm.
So that was the first memories that I got. And I remember that growing up, when I was like around 14, 15, I started collecting music CDs. It was from obviously like music my age, like music like pop and stuff. And then I started to make some research about really intense research in pop music and in
Oh,
rock music. I was
wow.
into music, into pop music and rock from United States, but especially from England. So I get to read about, and I was also very attracted to English because I
Mm.
United States for 1 year when I was 5 years old, from 5 to 6 years old.
Mm.
I live in here, Sacramento, California, in a small town called Roseville. So from friends from there invited us, my mom and my brother and I have a brother, and we lived there for a year, and that's where I started my English journey. So I
Mm.
studied from there. Then, well, Mexico, we're neighbors, so basically I used to travel twice or 3 times a year. But I
Mm.
stayed 1 year, and I went to school, and the whole American culture was really from the beginning of my life.
Oh,
So
wow.
having the connection with music
Mm.
through English, in music, then I started to make some research, and I used to buy this magazine called the Rolling Stone, and I was really a fan of that magazine. And I used to read it, all of it, and some of the words that I didn't understand, I was like asking what was about, like slang, and oh, that was like my favorite thing to do. And then I started buying compact disc CDs, and my favorite thing to do was really actually go to the CD store and get new music because my musical taste started to broaden. So I to since through the Rolling Stone magazine, I started to um try to I don't know, to listen to more of different bands. So I started listening to alternative music and very
Mm.
rock. So the connection, the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know, like the transition of listening to this really strange rock pop
Mm.
uh, was really easy for me um, like experimental music. So I think the first step, the first um, moment that I can remember was through singing and through the listening of all these CDs that I still owe. I have a lot of I have a picture collection and
Wow.
we go back because it wasn't that easy to get some of the CDs because they were from Europe. So I used to buy them beforehand, and I had to wait like a month and a half. They
Mm.
bring it back to to the store. I was like picking it up, like super excited, and
Wow.
and listen to the whole CD like for days and days and days, and then the next, and then the next, the next, the next.
Wow.
My music influence is quite wide.
Mm.
Quite, uh, there's a lot of variety when I'm
Right.
and so that's probably the first contact that I was with since I was like 6. And they
Wow.
will tell you my family had very different tastes. Like
Mhm.
I live with my grandparents, my mom, and their siblings. Everybody listened to different music. Like my oldest uncle listened to like all this like popular Spanish
Mhm.
style. I
Mhm.
mean, listen to this soft jazz lead to that and soft like soul music.
Mhm.
American. My grandmother was from Spain. Um she was Catalonian from
Mhm.
Barcelona. So she used to listen to a lot of music from Spain.
Mhm.
My was fan of tango music. And
Ah.
another uncle used to listen to a lot of progressive rock.
Oh yeah.
And my aunt used to listen to French music like Joe Lassan and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that's where it started, you know, the musical
Right.
taste that we used to play like in at home. Like my uncle, the youngest one, had a rock band. So every
Mm.
day in rehearsal, I was like just sitting down listening to how they were rehearsing. So it was a very, very extremely musical house. See,
Wow.
I grew up
That's
a lot of
amazing.
different music. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
No contemporary music until I started studying, right?
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's already,
It's
so you live with the music all the time. Wow. That's amazing. Wow, what a diversity in just, just home, right? Wow, that's fantastic. Wow. So do you have a specific, sounds you like passionate for? You just love all this diverse genre and styles of music when you're young.
And yeah, I mean, I used to like popular music a lot, basically a lot. It's funny because since I was listening to a lot of variety of music,
Mhm.
I was surrounded by. I wasn't even choosing it; that it was all around me. So the music that really that I was attracted to was probably music that it was very, very rhythmic,
Okay.
that it was really like into bass. Still to, now, I feel very attracted to music that is really rhythmic and a lot of like bass sound. Anything that had to do with that, but it was popular music still.
Right.
And what the really with its intent,
Mhm.
I was really attracted to pop music too, very soft music, like very 80s music. I was very attracted to. George Michael was one of my favorite singers. Yeah, he was a big influence to me. And I don't know what's a
You reminds me the memory with you in New York City. Do you remember we went to the jazz restaurant and you sang a song?
I did. Yeah, I did. So remember, I was living in Montreal because I was moving.
Right, right.
And I took jazz singing for a year there. This was
Okay.
a hobby. Yeah, yeah. Because as I told you, like since I was a kid, I loved singing, but I really like to do it in like with had like some techniques to sing. And so I sang for a whole year with this teacher. So
Ah.
maybe the reason is like, okay, I'll sing, but it's not I'm not getting the sense of I'm not very I'll go for it. You know,
Right.
I don't have the singer at personality. It's like, okay, I'll all the this way. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was yeah, but it was so natural and so lovely to see, my friend singing. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, it's one of my, Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was like one of my favorite memories in New York City.
That's so nice of you.
Really.
Beautiful.
So maybe what did you first realize that sound could have architecture, that it could be built and shaped like a physical space?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not in the sense of the physical space, but in terms of the structure, most of since I was a kid. And every time I remember how things, because the way I see music right now and the way I write it,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much how I listened to it when I was a child. And I remember, because I mean, in the sense, it's quite easy to try to separate the different layers of sound when you're listening to pop music, right? Listening to bass, you're listening to the drums, you're listening. And I was a kid. I remember I used to separate those and just listen to those. But when I grew up and when I started studying music, I realized that music is it's basically built upon layers of sound and structure. Like form and structure is one of the most important things because once you have those two, then you can insert whatever sound world you want to put into it.
Right.
Uh, maybe later or whenever I can explain you my creative process because pretty much the same creative process for every piece. The way that I approach it is through the material, not the patterns. It's the material and how I think the patterns do it. But the the parameters are always the same. And I can explain a little bit about that.
Right. So when did you, decide to be a professional musician?
I decided pretty young, but I didn't teach in any training at all. It's lessons and piano lessons since I was like 17. But I knew I wanted to write music, but I didn't know how. So
Mm.
things in life, like one of my aunt's a friend went to visit her while I was in her house, and she was explaining like to her, not to me. I was there. I was happy to be there. And she explained to her that she was studying music, like composition in this school. Then they called me and she talked to me about this school, which is amazing. And it's the school that I'm teaching right now. And it's the school that I did my undergrad.
Oh, nice.
School is very special because it's a very tiny school. It's called Centro de Investigación y Estudios de la Música, CIEM, CIEM, CIEM. And this school, they pretty much accept anybody without any, I mean, they give you exams and stuff to know your level, but you're automatically accepted. Okay. Which is great, but they have this method, don't know anything about it, then it's like a very intense way to learn music. And the first years, it's all about theory and then they'll let you and stuff. But you get to this point where you really know classical music to up to romantic music, to the romantic era. And then you start the contemporary part. Kind of shocking, but in a way, as I told you, the procedure wasn't that bad at all. But everything I felt so attracted to this. We obviously started with Stravinsky and this piece like blew my mind completely in it. Right of spirit. Oh, what is this? No, it's so nice. The way I see structure is through basically I have um a very clear concept of what is form and structure. And some people think form and structure is the same thing, which is okay. Me, I separate those very clearly. Basically, I started like through listening when I was a child.
Right, right. So that drew to you to keep studying master's degree and doctorate degree after, right?
That's correct. And then just getting, I mean, because form was very important those years, right? In any period of time, but especially those periods of time they had like established form, right? And you realize you can do your own form, you can do your own structure based on this way of this way that I write, that it's through specific narrative always. Always have like a concept or a narrative to write for. So once I have the narrative, then I get to the title. The first thing I need a title based on the narrative. So it involves all the concept in just the title. What's titled? Then I work on a very serious and detailed mapping of the piece. I have detailed on how it's going to evolve through for instruction, through time, through all parameters that I have. So as I told you, all the parameters are always the same for every piece of music, but the way that I work through those parameters depends on the narrative. So it's sometimes one of these parameters are more emphasized than others. But the ones always like unchangeable are the form, the structure, the world. It changes obviously depending on the narrative, but it's always there. Way you work with it, it's the way that I work through it. So, but it's always you see, like it's layers of sound in every parameter of the music.
Right. I mean, you mentioned so interesting point you know, work on with narrative and, you know, sound in time. So could you, you know, explore more about your creative process changing? Yeah.
When I'm writing a piece, the first thing that I need to do is what narrative I'm going to use. So to do that, it's either, I mean, it depends. Because it maybe I'm attracted to a point in that moment of where I'm deciding what I'm going to write about. I'll give you an example. Like one of the things that I wrote about once was about schizophrenia disease, and I was very attracted to I was listening to this interview by this person called Ellen R. Sachs. She's a lawyer, and she has schizophrenia, and she was talking in a TED talk about this happened. And I was very and like I felt so attracted to the topic, and then she started talking about her life and everything. So I started reading the book. So when I was reading the book, I was so attracted to know more about the disease, and then I started just making some research just to know about. I said, it's intense. And then I got a commission from this Mexican contemporary ensemble. And then I was thinking about what topic should I use. And then it's like, that's perfect. Like, I'm going to write about the schizophrenia. And I started reading more. I read the whole book, but I was basically reading about the different stages of the disease and stuff. So I divided this piece into the stages and tried to try some of things. I mean, subjectively, how saw the disease, because I don't have anybody that I don't know anybody with this mental disease. And then I started doing the narrative, and then I started doing the sound world depending on these stages, and then was imagining through the book what was the that I wanted to reproduce those 4 stages.
Right.
And through those stages, I make my theory is that you need to have unity all the time in everything. So everything has to be all these parameters form always from the general to the particular. So it's the narrative, then the form, the structure, the sound world, the how the sound world, the harmonic sound world will be evolving, the orchestration, obviously, all up to the most minimum, which is articulation. I work with this in a mapping, and then once mapping, then I start writing the piece, writing the notes. It's the last thing to do, but what it takes me the most is doing the planning, for sure, the mapping. And the narrative is always related to the form and structure necessary. So every time I'm writing something or the concept, it's always from that. And every time I write a piece, it's always, I need to have a narrative that it says to me something musically, right? Yes, I can do that through music. And sometimes it's easier when you have an abstract thing like this disease, because I don't know anybody with the disease, but I'm trying to explain it through my way. But this piece was actually related to create some empathy of noise because there's so many misinformation about the disease. So it's a way to I mean represent what I think about the disease, and also how to make some I don't know, to have some more empathy about the reaction. So everything is very detailed with this mapping, and I know where I'm always going to. It's mapping, and it's a way also to have an easier way to write music, for sure.
Right.
I remember before that I used to write and just think like whatever comes to my mind, and then anything makes sense, you know?
Right.
So with method, or with this process, that's the best way for me to have a clear narrative and try to portray it music the best way. I think for me, to have a picture, it's always a picture and a concept is very important.
You know what? I have just found out this similarity between you and me because I clicked the word mapping because I my way is very similar to your way. So yeah, so click. So how do you mapping? So you draw something, or you just write it something, or you create some structure in your paper. How does it work?
Yeah, I write, I draw. I draw the structures, some instructions in it. Basically, have all the parameters there. So it's a graphic. But once I have a graphic, then I can tell you. I can show you one if you want.
Sure, excited to see it. Yeah.
And then once I have the form and structure and the main things, then I start writing all the main ideas through the form and structure. All the main ideas at different page, and then I start writing pages and pages for every subsection. And then like it's a way of me to have like a better idea of how I'm gonna divide the work. But sometimes everything that I wrote doesn't work. So sometimes I have to rewrite something.
Of course, yeah.
Or maybe you write a lot and then you end up writing something that it's very, very tiny, you know? So
Right, right, yeah.
and let me show you one of the brands.
Sure.
Then I can explain. I can actually show you two of them so you can know the sure. This is the main structure piece. And then once I have this, then I start writing in a different page. But
Right.
everything is always keep everything.
So your planning stage of composition is very important for you, right?
It's the most important thing, actually. I
Right.
think takes me the most.
Very nice.
It's perfect. So this is the one that this is related to the five stages, and I'm using this hypnogram as the main design for my piece. It's a real hypnogram of a 20 to 29-year-old person.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm here. This is my way to reproduce the. There's stages in every cycle. There's 5 cycles, and there's a timing here. Do think it's usually 90 minutes of sleep in every cycle, usually. And I'm doing this in terms of 90 minutes represents to 3 minutes. So it's a 10-minute piece. Every cycle has a stage. So every has its own physiological features.
Yeah.
These physiological features, I'm pairing it with a very nice they're called temporary semiotic units. The semiotic units are they're basically like sound stamps, sound icons. So they're represented through duration. There's sometimes you have a less than 10 seconds sounds, and sometimes you have more than 10 seconds words, the sounds, so they can last forever. So
Right.
all these physiological features are represented to temporal semiotic units, among other things. So all these cycles have very different personalities. This is the form. For me, the form are the four cycles, and the structures are the subsections in each of. And every section has very different. It's almost like a cross-cutting music, like one scene, then the next one, then the next one. In this sense, so it's interesting because you need to have a different personality for each of the stages. So
Of course. Right.
I need to represent this one here. So I'm just taking good attention of what the main compositional resources I'm using to repeat it here in a different way, and especially different orchestration. So it was kind of a way to me to have a different concept, but with the same material. Different sound world for sure. The sound world was always evolving. So something. And the last stage here is the sleep stage. That's where you freeze the REM, which is what the piece is all about. Because Somel Paradoxal, I wrote this piece it's my doctoral piece.
Right. Yes.
So
I remember.
yeah. So this piece is Sommet Paradoxal is REM in French, and I was living in Montreal. I was studying a skill. So this piece was based on this, and so it's Sommet Paradoxal, and the sound is super poetic. So I love the name. And it's very for me paradoxal, even though I'm doing the entire hypnogram, all the all the musical material in the REMs are completely different the other stages. And the reason I did this because I want to emphasize the name and I want to emphasize that it's the main, but still I'm writing and doing. And for this, in terms of hello, aesthetic style and how I reproduce it and how I develop it. So it's a pitch class set that I made different poses, and then I have a very detailed way that I'm developing the sound world all through the. And the REM is different. It has this if you can tell, it's a little bit like spectral music in a way because it's fixed sounds. The way I do and you can listen to it like if you listen to the both, you can see that it's the sound is different, but it's connected because the way that I'm doing the fixed sounds is through the synthetic scale on music, but the way that I'm approaching the sound world is completely. So that's the way that I'm starting to write. And then, for instance, I have this the form and the structure. I have the contour of the of the register. Then I have usually what I use is most of my pieces have this very characteristic motif that I use time. And you there's like 4 notes, 5 notes, sometimes 6, sometimes 9. And the way that I work through it is through different layers. I put the keys. It's almost like a leitmotif, actually.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
different. Then I expand it, and then it's always the same. So for me, that gives you a lot of unity. But I use those notes that they change at all, even though the sound world is evolving all the time. The sound world is evolving, but not the motif, not the label. Always the same notes and everything. And usually, I also what I do is if I have depending on how many notes I have in those motifs, spread through the entire piece. Structurally, it will see that note as a base for it's not tonal, but it's on this tone as the foundation of each section. Comes up key at one, and that gives you a lot of unity, I think. But especially in this piece, because this piece is always changing and it's always very abrupt. Because to I mean, in my narrative, you need to show, demonstrate musically through sound how these stages are going on. Right?
So so can I ask a question? So, since you showed your beautiful map, so when you decide the pitch class, do you have a certain sound in your mind, or you just pick every piece?
Not actually, no. No. I just go through the pitch class sets list and I start playing. And then this is the one. So it's basically you're playing the different prime form pitches that I'm using. And then I start doing this circular permutation to have this I'm developing through that. So it's the same pitch class all over. And sometimes I use 2 hexachords, for instance, and then these 2 hexachords are always interacting.
Right.
And I barely use them. I barely use them together. I like dissonance a lot, but sometimes I work with non-dissonance. And the way it's always dissonant because it's a length, but it's always based on. It's not to say to have a major second than the long time, for instance. Yeah, the dissonant softens, right? That's the way that I work. And in this case, also like rhythmically, everything is different in the REM section than the other sections because here I'm using spatial notation to seconds. The dissonance is super. It's very dissonant music because I'm using repetitions of motifs that are pretty close to each other, and I'm doing so because I'm trying to portray like maybe a nightmare or maybe a that is very exciting. Oh yeah, and this one is obviously the climax of the piece. I always
Yeah, you put it at the climax at the end.
because no, it's usually the one that works the best when you have the climax. In my opinion, when you have a climax at the end, because in terms of memory, remembering music, the audience always gets the first things and the last things. My students, I always say to my students, if it's possible that your narrative allows you to do the narrative the climax at the end, it would work. That's usually what people stay with, the beginning at the end, unless there's something very exciting at the middle or ends. No? usually it's what you get. But in this case, the narrative was to have the climax here. Because the can grows up through the night, it gets bigger. So the last one is the one that lasts the most. So I wanted to do the whole like very dramatic ending at the end.
Very nice, very nice.
And the narrative was allowed me to that and do the percentage, and every subsection was 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was pretty much it. That's one of it. And then I can show you quickly another one that I have.
Sure.
That's awesome. The piece, this is a piece that I wrote that it's called Synaptic Cleft. Synaptic Cleft is it's based on this a neuron from the mind. Yeah, four different types, and the one that I chose was this one, and it's called Apollo. So usually, what I did musically, this is my mapping basically, and then I put in different pages like all the peaceful.
Awesome.
And then, well, I try to explain musically what this is all about. And for instance, I'm using here the piano and some other, I think it was the celesta, no, something like that. I don't, well, it's a keyboard, and it's always in this shape, like it's a always as a bass. This is the climax of the piece because it's the nucleus, and then you have this. The piece is about this small space between each neuron, which transmit all the neurotransmitters. So this is basically not about this, but the space between this and the next neuron. But I explain the whole thing, and then once is then the last thing is the for me. There's two. I think the real climax is the nucleus, but at the end you will see how this information is like going to another one, which I'm musically. But I explain this through 5 sections, and the way that I'm just separating those ideas is through, for instance, this part is control improvisation with a spectral sound world, and then here internally codes. Combined with the head supports, so it's all different sound world, but it's add to this too. Oh, I'm using rhythmically the Fibonacci series and different types of the techniques, so you can notice how this is evolving. And for instance, this is not the same like the terminal axon, but some things that are related. So I use materials of this dendritic zone to the terminal axon, not necessarily some things related here. I mean, obviously it's the climax, so I'm using a lot of reverb, the acoustic sounds, but also in the electronic sound.
Okay, great.
No, I'm using the nice thing that I was having fun with these pieces that I use reals and neural sounds from the lab. So you can listen to the sounds of the lab of the people just examining the neural sounds, and then I created those and I did it some electronic music processing. But all the sounds from these pieces made from real neuronal sounds.
So you adapt the real sound into your composition with the electronic part, but then
That's right.
did you also done with this sound analysis too?
I did too.
Okay.
So I had to listen to a lot of sounds.
I see. So that gives you more foundation of the sound of the piece.
That's right. Not necessarily the sound, because I already had like this thing in my mind with the spectral sound was like with the spectral of the sound that I analyzed were notes. The electronic music was made with this neuronal sounds, no? Yeah. So everything had to do for me. Having unity with everything, with all the parts is very important. And the way I achieve that is through the things that I told you. Like sometimes if you want to have different things, you have different sound worlds, but always connected to each other. And the way you do, I don't know, the music, the fixed media, you use it with the same sound, but different. I don't know. There's different ways that I can work that out. So, but this is like my image, and this is what takes me a lot of times, like to find out. And once I have all this, then different pictures to write all the I'm basically brainstorming once I have this. This storm through a lot of notes. Once I have a lot of notes, then I make a decision based. Once I get to the paper, that's where you get the decisions. That's the hardest part.
Right. Then how long does it take to complete this piece? Do you remember, especially in
It
this case? In this case.
took me like 4 months.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's what such interesting question. Like I wasn't a student, so it's harder because you need to write when you're not working, which is to
Right.
me it was a mission, but I
Mm.
needed to. So it was during the night. Every time I have a commission, I have to work during the night because that's the time that or the weekends, obviously.
Right.
And it took me like 4 months approximately. 3 to 4 months. The one that it's related to sleep, it took me a while because I was really into it, and I even had like interviews with psychologists and
Mm.
specialists because I was at
Wow.
Mukilteo, and I was taking that opportunity because there was like the psychology building, and I used to talk there. I went to another university to talk to this. Went to a sleeping lab, and I went to Concordia University, and I talked to this specialist, and he talked me
Right.
about ages and
Wow.
everything works, even though maybe some people would say that I'm exaggerating in doing that, but it's not because it's information to you, create an atmosphere.
Right, right. I mean, this is very important lesson for composers, you know. I mean, thank you for this, very, very important information from you, how you know, how to create your music, like this process in details, in layers, and like great effort on each piece, right?
Wow.
That's amazing. Wow.
There's also the way that you can write with no planning. But in my opinion, it's easier for you to work this way, easier. Starting, I mean, the reason I'm doing it this way is because it's easier for me, but it also gives you a whole image of the piece. But very
Right.
you necessarily have a better piece.
Right, right, right.
Percy and I from their own perspective, but I found this to be very helpful.
Right. I agree. I totally agree with you. My process is like almost same like you, and yeah, it gives you more deeper understanding of your piece and what I really want to going for, right? This is incredible. Wow, that's amazing.
There's no two pieces, but I work that way on all of them. And so
Wow.
and I'm getting more and more detail by the time I
Mm-hmm.
start like getting more detail and because it works. And as I told you, sometimes I do this brainstorming and I do a whole piece, 10 pages describing what I want
Mm-hmm.
or just this section, and turns out that maybe one thing worked out. Right?
Right. Right.
It's a very detailed process, but it means
Right.
I
Right.
didn't even get up. Oh,
Yeah.
I work like just writing music at the moment without any planning. I
Mm.
used to stop all the time. It's like, what's next? And then it's didn't connect with others. So this for me works perfect. Then that's the way I teach. This is the way I teach music, like through a mapping and see through exercises of each of these parameters based on an.
Right. So I just remember you also interested in working with multimedia works, right? How would you balance telling a story while keeping things abstract? So what that attention like for you?
So can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
So in your multimedia works, how do you balance telling a story while keeping that abstract sound?
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very interesting to do a piece for electronics for instance, because usually the when I'm using image or video, it's always with electronic music. Most of the times I don't work with a real ensemble and image, which I'm very attracted to. I will do it soon. And it's very important that you have a really clear narrative and what like in this case I work exactly the same like I use structure but I'm using sounds abstract sounds, right? But I connect those abstract sounds maybe through the same abstract sound being developed but it's a different layer, then probably this layer disappears and then another layer appears and then I work on it. If this sound or this layer of sound has some sort of a sound or a note, you see, then I can connect that note with a different tap, but with the same note. So the way that I connect sound, an image depends on the narrative, number one. So I do the piece first. I do the electronic piece first, and then the image into it. But whenever I'm writing or doing the piece, the electronic piece, I'm always thinking in describing as best as possible. I mean, sometimes I think this is better to be described through image. So there's always a balance between image and sound. And that's very, when you write when you do a piece, an electronic piece and image, you can begin, it's when you do, for instance, when you write a duet, a music duet, piano and voice, for instance. I write a piece for piano and voice. I always give like a balance, which one okay, the piano sometimes is the support for the voice. But sometimes the piano has its own moment, right? Same with image, especially if you have a narrative, because sometimes it's better if you concentrate on the image and the sound is to the second layer, both on to the back, and then you're paying attention to the sound. Then sometimes the music is the most important thing. So you get the music and you get it more movement, and then you get more maybe intensity and maybe even volume, like that. And then the image, maybe it's still in that moment. Right. It's always, let's say, the way you want to, which one do you want to put more attention to? You want people to listen more, or just somehow you have both, but connected to each other. So they're just together. So you have to have a balance with both two. Otherwise, it won't work, in my opinion.
Right. So when you do a live performance with a, ensemble and live electronic, do you have a separate script to control all this scenario, or how does that work?
Usually, I work with the electronics by itself, and then so it's always separate. And then, but I'm always connecting through time. They connect through the.
I see.
But it depends. Like in this piece, for instance, the real world here are just sounds, like atmospheric sounds. The most important ones are the fixed media, for sure, to get the nucleus. And sometimes I imagine a piece like for the one that is schizophrenic. The way that I imagine it is like being inside the mind of a schizophrenic person. Like it's a very immersive surrounding. In this case, it's the same. I'm just like diving into this neuron, and then I try to explain like through it, like I'm like diving into that thing, and I'm diving inside the nucleus, how the sound would be. And it's very imaginative.
Right.
And it's very abstract, but I'm gonna say it's very abstract when I'm gonna do the fixed media. I'm emphasize the fixed media more. See?
Right.
That's how it works basically. So with sound and image is the same. You have to balance one, depends on the narrative.
Right. So when you get a commission with electronic part, then do you also do your own part of live electronic part, or how does that work?
I don't use like electronics. Usually it's a record most of the time. So I don't do like I don't work with I just work with tracks.
I see. I see. Ah, okay.
That it give me. So I'm always measuring the timing and working with seconds, but I don't use live yet.
Right. I think I read about a commission or project, little you have like a failure, so which means that didn't go as planned. Have you ever experienced like that way to, the commission or your work is not as planned?
Not really, but sometimes it's funny. But sometimes if you can call it a failure, which is a happening, no, sometimes we're imagining the whole atmosphere in a different way, and sometimes it's different than the one you planned. For me, a failure in the sense that you didn't project the sound the way you wanted to, right?
Right.
So usually, but for sure, when you get like a failure, I can't remember like one specifically, but when you always have failures for sure. But when you ever have a failure, especially when you start like writing music and you have, I don't know, someone reading your music, and that happens, and sometimes a projection of sound that you wanted that didn't go well. And that's when you learn the most, right? That's when you do that. So, but I can't recall a specific moment where I had a really bad failure. Probably the failure would be that you're not projecting the way you were planning, or you were imagining rewriting the piece, right? And it's like, time I'm gonna do it this way, or right?
Right, right, right. Can I see your face more bigger? So thank you for your amazing mapping images showing up to share. Maybe the audience more curious about you. Plus your music. Yeah, later I probably share your music link under the your yeah, description. Just send me your website and links. Yeah, everything that I can share. Yeah. So I mean, I have like more like 10 or 15 more questions, but I probably making shorten and
Yeah, no problem. Sure.
yeah. So maybe
What you want to ask?
yeah, 3 4 questions more will be okay. Yeah, right. I know. I mean, if I meet you in person, I can spend time with you all day with this Tasri, right? Oh my gosh.
Good. You're living in New York, or where are you right now?
Now I'm in Jeju Island, Korea.
You're living there?
Temporarily, yes. Try to take a base and connect to that new yeah, USA. Yeah. I mean, after my study complete, I have like sort of need to breathing out. So when I trying to adjusting our next step of life, what we love to do.
Wait, hot music.
Yeah.
I'm in that area right now too. Believe it or not,
Oh,
is that I like to see if I move to Barcelona and a job, which is not easy because nobody knows here.
yeah. So
It's a challenge, but it's interesting. It's nice.
right. Yeah. So that things I really want to talk about it more later.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit maybe deeper questions. How do you see Latin American composers contributing to the global conversation in new music? What's unique about that perspective?
Like individually or through their music.
Based on your experience or your research, whatever you have any opinion on that?
And female and any composer.
Yeah, both.
And they're turning out to be a lot of good composers writing and a lot of happen. And there's a lot of things happening in Latin American music. You can see basically through social network how people are uh being as basic Latin American, and people are getting more interested in listening to that kind of powerful music. That where I'm telling you, I feel very with this rhythmic music. That's usually what Latin American music has. It has that very powerful and very based sound world. And I think people like that. People like the uh, diversity that has to this. And that's sometimes I think, for instance, I grew up in Mexico with different sounds and the sounds around the neighborhood that I was raised in. It was different, like all the sounds that you grew up with. It necessarily one of the things that you portray in your music consciously or unconsciously, right? And doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have like a mariachi sound attached. Because I mean, I listen to mariachi in parties, but it's not my sound world. But
Right.
sure, I probably have some of the I don't know, of the rhythmic part or maybe a sound, atmosphere. Who knows? You necessarily have that attached to it, right? I think Latin American music, you can notice that there's this strength, that this it's a very powerful way of writing music too, because it's also the culture that you trade. So, as I told you, not necessarily through elements that are very obvious, no? Like the music that it's in your country, that you don't really need to portray to know that you have your accents very clear, right?
Right.
And I think that there's a lot going on right now, and the social networks and the social media and the social networking, it's helping a lot because then you have a better way to share what you're writing, and it's super quick. On the other side, what's happening right now is that since you have this, it's very easy for you to listen to music from different parts of the world now. As I told you, when I was a kid, if I wanted something, a CD, I had to wait I had to pay for that CD,
Right.
and they ship it, and then like 2 months you get that, and it's so exciting, and it was there, but now you just get it with a click. So what's happening is like your music influence, it's gonna become very wider because you can listen to all this music super quick, right?
Right, right.
Super fast. So there's gonna be a way, a moment where we have all these different influences because you're you can listen to the music that you like, different kinds of arts, and so you think it's gonna be changing too. I think. Yeah, I think the risk is like maybe you're gonna lose a little of that identity in a way, but lose it, in my opinion, completely. So even though you don't have the sound of a specific kind of music, Mexican music, you have the essence for sure, right?
Right.
And I think the Latin American music it's becoming quite popular in a way that it's you can listen to it easier. If you're attracted to a special artist, then you go to your website. There's so many ways to listen to music now.
Right.
So I think it's easier for you to have if you really want to get or promote your music, it's easy. Oh, in a way.
Right.
And
So, as a Latin American, I mean, would you consider Latin American?
or
Yeah. Yeah, Latin American composer. Do you feel um a responsibility to represent or speak for Latin American composers more? How do you balance that with your individual artistic vision?
I just I of course I'm interested in that for sure, but I don't think much about it. I just write music that I like, and I write it, and I try to write music and project whatever the piece is about, and then obviously I tell you you have your connections, and I'm sure that every piece has this essence, this Mexican essence. But I also have this. I'm also Spanish. My grandma said so usually for faith. Beach, and to Spain a lot. That gives you obviously a different perspective of how to write music. If you're listening to Spanish music, for instance, which I listened to it when I was a child through my grandmother. And I have a responsibility in the sense that, of course, I'm Latin American for sure. I was born in Mexico, and there's not too many Mexican female composers, and this responsibility. But I don't think much about it. I just think that it's good to be honest and write music that you really like, not always try to I don't know, portray maybe a style you don't necessarily like just to become part of something. So as long as you're writing honest music and the way you write it is, I think immediately will give you this identity, and it will naturally give you a place in the composer's mapping, right? I think. As long as you're writing honest music, whatever. And I always say to my students, doesn't I mean because there's these two trends. No, it's tonal, non tonal, whatever that is. But as long as good music and it's it's fine, and it gives you a representation for sure.
Right. So maybe along with this kind of contemporary music scene, like as a composer, you may going through like challenging things, right? What obstacles have you encountered as a woman in this space?
It's quite the opposite because we're in a moment where they want to embrace you, no, as a woman proposal. I haven't found, even though there's a lot of challenges because we're way behind profession, no, but I think I haven't got any. I don't know, maybe in the terms of not as a composer, but maybe getting a job in of like having a good treatment in terms of paying and stuff. But I don't find it. I was lucky. I have been lucky probably, but I haven't found any obstacles so far. A women composer, quite the contrary, because they embrace the fact that you are a female composing, and maybe through the years, it would be my dream if they treat you just equally, not just even mentioning that you're a female composer.
Composers, right? Yeah.
As a composer, and having not just female composers around concerts, right? Which is good. Nice. I like them. But I like better when you combine female, any kinds of like not just music from composers.
Right.
And I haven't found any challenging because I was thinking about it like recently, and I was like, seriously, I didn't have any bad experiences so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then what would you tell a young woman who's just starting to find her voice as a composer today?
Exactly what I told you. Like you have to be honest with what the music that you write
Yeah.
and try to use your music as your own way of expressing yourself. Not to not write music to anybody, just to yourself. Try to be honest. Write the music, good quality music for sure
Mhm.
that makes sense and everything that works through the mapping and the very well done music. And it doesn't matter the style you write. Long as there's always going to be audience for your music, but don't write music for anybody, just for yourself. And then people will probably follow you, the ones that like your music, no?
Right.
And not too much about that. And just be honest with your music. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. So now you are located in Barcelona. What made you to move to the city from Mexico?
I'm not moving here, so I not stay for a few months. They've been here for a while, but and back and forth. Because Mara is my boyfriend is from here, and I have family here.
Right.
It's easier for me to travel here, and I had the opportunity to stay here for 5 months.
Ah.
I'm gonna be here until the end of August, and I'll go back to Mexico City. So I'm back and forth, and I'm working online. Everything is online, so that allows me to
You
do
should
this.
you should teach me how to work remotely fully.
To work what?
I really love to work in remote setting, but it's kind of not easy to setting up to do everything through,
I know. So I have this composition class. It's usually 7 to 10 p.m. in Mexico, but here is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
I see. So you still do.
Still worth it.
I see. But then the school, offers the full online class, so not in-person class.
There's a school that I teach is online courses, all of them. I teach their composition for symphony and composition. I started 3 years ago, so it's a full year course. That's the one that I teach from 3 to 6 p.m. But I also teach at the university that I was a student at this year.
Right.
And they're offering, it's not online, but I'm offering the courses online. But I'm probably going to start next semester face to face.
Right.
The other university is also online. Yeah, and I'm teaching. It's theory, so it's easier for you to write it to do it on. I offer a personal teaching face to face, and I mean face to face. I mean like one person, only one.
Right. Private studio, like.
Yeah, and I'm also representing music organization called ABRSM.
Mhm.
They also part of the Royal Schools of Music, which is music examinations, online examinations.
Okay, I got it.
ABRs,
Yeah.
group jobs, and it's always on. It's all of them are online.
You do work there too. Okay.
I'm the representative, and I work for. I mean, I'm the only one there.
I see. I have more questions about that too later. I mean, many young, students in Korea and anywhere in the world, they are interested in, learning the system and the theory and stuff.
I also took it when I was a student, so I know the system really, really well. And since I'm the representative, I also need to know. I also teach students private,
Right.
for, and it's a way you to prepare for students. I have a lot of I have the students, but I used to have like piano students and mostly theory.
Right. Right.
A lot of
Got you. I should invite you to do some lectures in Korea. Really, really,
areas. I know that in Korea and Hong Kong and China, the ADRSM is the most popular system, and obviously where it comes from, Europe in general.
Right.
Mexico too, but not that much. But it was around 600 exams per year, not much.
I
And
think.
Hong Kong is 600,000 exams per year. So you can imagine how the how they measure that. They really are into music,
I see. So are you?
which is really cool.
So you are in the like a board member or just representative?
I represent the system in Mexico.
Okay, got
I also teach it because I know what the exams are about, and it's like not now. I teach piano when I'm in Mexico, and teach usually here level 1 to 8.
I see. Got you. So
I got basic theory correct.
okay. So you basically good at like teaching theory, music composition, and orchestration and everything, right? Related to composition.
Orchestration through composition, but yeah, I think I'm teaching right now 18 hours per week. Oh, composition. I'm very good at teaching music composition because I used to teach a lot of piano instead, but now I'm teaching a lot of music theory, but especially composition, 18 hours per week. The three different schools and privately too, so it's crazy.
That's my kind of, like going for dream job like you. I really want to teach online.
You can start. I don't know. It's the thing that sometimes they get to me through the AVRSM. Not for composition, but in theory.
Mm.
So we can attract students through the teaching through the system.
Right. Right. Great. Awesome. So, maybe last questions for you today. So, what's collaboration or project you've been working and dreaming about, but haven't had the chance to pursue yet?
What other dreams?
So, you've done a lot of collaborations and projects in the past, right? Then, which projects you are dreaming have not done yet?
Having an orchestral piece performing here, especially in Barcelona at the Palau de la Música, which is amazing. Oh, I'm working on it. That's one I really want to get performed. And my idea is to have a lot of more orchestral pieces written because I think it's a long time. And unless you have a commission you write it for, it's fine. But also, just for the sake of it, just to write music, orchestral pieces, I want to write more music and then get to move that piece and see who plays it. That's the way it goes. Remember one and the reason this is also like maybe an advice for young composers. Also, don't be afraid to show your music to conductors. It's nice to, unless you have a commission, but you already, I mean, if you're getting a commission, it's because a lot of your music had been played, so they notice it. But the way to start noticing your music, it's obviously you have to connect with these musicians. Right. That's not hard to go and say, I have this piece, would you be interested in writing it? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's like I'm going to music and then see who's going to play it. But one of my piece is to have a piece performed in Barcelona for sure, because my grandmother was from here and she was very special in my life. And one of my dreams is to have this piece that it's going to necessarily have some Catalonian foundations for sure. Maybe the narrative will be all based on that, on or something, but the material also will be based on that. And one of the things is just to approach maybe conductors and say, well, this is my piece, this is my story, will be playing it, or through other things that I'm thinking about, because one of my, this is, if you can ask me, is my main dream.
Right. Got you. Wow, there's great.
Hope, who knows?
Right. That's great. Like a secret tips to everybody who wants to get a commission.
It's expected commission, even not pay, like just get it performed. I don't
Right.
especially here. Like if I'm not interested in the payment. I just want to have this piece performed.
Right. I should do it more harder like you. This will be sadly with the last questions. Where do you see your work heading in the next 5 years? What feels most exciting or unknown to you right now?
I think as I told you, like writing a lot of music and get it performed by maybe different orchestras, maybe getting to different audience like here would be so wonderful because obviously the way every country has different point of view of in concerts, in terms of concerts. And then I wanted to get to know, if I decide to live here in the future, then one of the things for me would be, which is going to be a lot of work, like get to know my music. And I'm not sure how that works yet. So that's how I see myself. If I live here, and then it's gonna sure getting a way to get my music performed here. It's gonna be a hard work, but I think it's possible.
Right. Wow.
Maybe in the next 5 years for sure, and just keep writing music basically, like just music and write music, no matter what, write music, right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Paola, today.